The new Deadlock patch brought a bunch of item changes. A lot of buffs, a lot of nerfs, and the meta shifted around quite drastically. In this video, we're gonna go over the best items in the game right now, their strengths, how to play them, and how they're gonna help you win way more games. And these are the stats for the best items in this week's Night Shift. Night Shift is the weekly Deadlock Pro tournament that's going on, and it paints a very interesting picture. We're gonna go over this in detail in a bit, but as you can see, there is one color missing here, and that is gonna convert into your games as well. So this is not only going to be applicable of pro play, but we can learn a lot from these items, and we'll get right into it. So as you can see from the statistics in pro play, but also if you look at the stats from items in ladder play, gun items are underperforming right now. They're just not very good. The meta is very spirit focused. There's a lot of spirit nuke going on, and in general spirit nuking even in the late game is insane. And we're gonna start with the best item right now. I'm not gonna keep you waiting, and that is Greater Expansion. And that seems really random, right? Like this item gives you ability range until you realize how much this item actually does for you. Ability range does not only apply to all your abilities, it also applies to all the range of your items, okay? I'll give you a few examples and show you how broken this is. If you were to buy this item on someone like Infernus, not only will your flame dash be twice the size, right? And leave a really big trail, making it really hard for the enemy to dodge it, it will also make your ultimate insanely big, okay? On base level, the ultimate range is not very far, you know? It's a small circle, it's pretty easy to dodge. And if you combine this with max ultimate, suddenly your AoE on the ultimate covers literally the entire mid-boss pit. And this is the AoE. If you can't see it, it is literally the entire room, which is absolutely crazy. And that's just one example. If you're looking like other meta heroes like Ivy, not only will this increase the range on the radius of Ikatsu Bomb to like an insane amount, right? It works on the tether, right? So the tether link radius is suddenly like the entire map. Your Ivy Stone Form is an insane radius. Your ultimate radius is the entire map. On top of that, Ivy also has a bunch of other items that really benefit from this ability. One really common one that is being bought right now is Vortex Web. And Vortex Web on base level does have a pretty smallish radius, right? But once you buy Greater Expansion, again, works on every item. Now Vortex Web is the entire map. This item works with so many abilities on so many heroes, and that's why it's so great. Last example I'll give you, Apollo. You will have a bigger ult radius, a bigger lunge radius, right? So you can catch up and hit the enemy from very, very far away with this ability. But also, if you buy an item like Torment Pulse, suddenly your Torment Pulse ticks from very, very far away, making it very easy to like keep on chasing the enemy and keep on damaging them without really a downside. And on top of all of that, it just randomly gives you 10 spirit resist. That's why it's being bought, especially in pro play, a lot. And I would really encourage you to try to include this in your builds on a lot of characters way more, because if you hit your abilities more consistently, you will do more consistent damage, right? Like Deadlock is all about hitting your stuff. If you hit your abilities, you will do a lot of damage. And this just makes everything you do more consistent on most heroes, giving you free value. Right behind that, and an item that I see overlooked all the time, especially on low rank, is Healbane, okay? Healbane on paper seems like a very underwhelming item, right? Like a new player might look at this and go, oh, healing reduction. The enemy doesn't have a lot of like lifesteals yet, right? They didn't buy a lot of leeches yet, they didn't buy vampires, or they didn't buy infuser. So why would I buy Healbane in the early game? Well, the simple answer is most characters in this game actually have a lot of healing on base now, okay? To give you a few examples, Kelvin just recently got buffed to where he heals an insane amount in the early game just by throwing his nades, right? Like even in lane, he has an insane amount of healing with both nade and ice storm. Another example, very obvious one, is Victor. Victor, two of his base abilities that you spam all the time will heal you. Pain Battery on max level will heal Victor for missing amount of HP, and so will Jumpstart. Using Healbane to reduce the healing of the enemies is just gonna provide you more damage. It's most of the time better than just buying another damage item to damage the enemies. If we're going through the entire list, I really want you to think about how many characters in the roster actually have base healing on base, right? Like Abrams has base healing on his one, Mina has healing on her Rake, Wraith cards now heal on base with the Heart card. More than 50% of the roster, I want to say, have some sort of healing ability on base that you can counter with Healbane. So you really want to be aware if the enemy has those characters against you in lane that you buy an early Healbane. And that's why it's being bought non-stop in pro play. In pro play you see 3-4 Healbanes almost every game just because it will up your damage output. And in a lot of fights this is not going to be obvious to you, right? Because you're going to do damage and you're not going to notice how much the enemy is healing during the fight. But if you look at the fight comparison, if you had it compared to if you don't have it, it's going to make a big difference, and it's one of the most overlooked items in the game. Plus the other healing reduction options are not really meta right now, or they're very expensive, right? If we're looking at Toxic Bullets and Decay, there's situational buys on certain characters, really good on those characters, right? But they're pretty expensive. And then the other options are all 6k items that you will only be able to afford very late into the game. Healbane, number 2 pick, insane item. Use it and you will win way more games. Next item on the list is also an item you probably don't buy enough, and that is Counterspell. Counterspell is a fuck you button to a lot of ultimates in the game. In the current meta, there's a lot of hard stun ults that will probably kill you if you get caught by them, and just buying Counterspell to counter those ultimates is going to be a big value for you. And you know, it's going to keep your life way more than rushing an early spirit resist, because the enemy does a lot of spirit damage, right? Like just not being stunned for those 2-3 seconds or being dislocated into the enemy team is going to provide you way more value than a 30% spirit resist. Like, you're gonna die anyways even if you have to resist. Every time you get into a game, think about the enemy comp, and if the enemy has 3 or more characters that have ultimates, especially, that are easy to counter with Counterspell, you wanna make a mental note in your head to buy Counterspell later down the line, okay? You can run this pretty early, like I wanna say roughly at 10 to 12k is when you can start buying it, but around 15 to 20k net worth is when you really wanna have Counterspell in those games, okay? And I do this myself. Like, I try to think about it before the game so I don't have to worry about, like, in the mid game if I should buy it or not, right? Like, I don't want to be caught out by multiple ultimates and then realize after I died 3 times that I should have bought Counterspell. Same story goes for Dispel Magic. This item actually got a lot better with the latest patch. This used to be kind of weak in the patch before because there weren't a lot of damage over time effects that would be affected by Dispel Magic, and Counterspell was the better option. But this item is really getting back into the meta, and that is for a few reasons. Reason number 1 is a lot of damage over time effects got buffed a lot, okay? So Infernus Burn got a lot stronger, and Dispel Magic is like the best counter to Infernus Burn. Shift Knives got a lot stronger. If you take 2 or 3 Shift Knives, you are basically dead. It does so much damage, and Dispel Magic, you can just use it and get out. Mirage, Jinsmark. Jinsmark is also doing more damage than it used to be. Most Mirage players run full Spirit on Mirage, and they shoot you for basically no damage, but then once Jinsmark is maxed, they one-shot you. Plus, Slowing Hex is another item that got buffed and is getting more and more into the meta, and if you have characters that need movement, right, like that need to use movement abilities to get in, get out, examples would be something like Calico, right, or Apollo. If the enemy is good, they will buy Slowing Hex against you, and then suddenly you can't use half of your kit. For Apollo, 3 of his 4 spells you can't use when you're Slowing Hexed. Calico, you can't use Slash or ult, right? And on those characters, if the enemy buys more than 1 Slowing Hex, you definitely want to buy Dispel Magic, because it's just going to allow you to play the game, and playing the game is pretty good because you can win the fights, okay? Next up, another green item, and green items are really strong right now, right? Like, it's all about the greens and spirit right now, is Warpstone. I don't see people buying this nearly enough. I don't buy it enough myself, but if you look at high-level streamers and pro players, a lot of people will buy this almost every game. And the reason is not even the bullet resist, right? Like, again, as I said earlier in the video, bullet damage is not super prevalent. It is just for the effect of you being able to have another movement ability. It's basically a blink on cooldown. You can use it to get into the fight. You can use it to get out of the fight. In situations where you would be most certainly dead, you can use this to get out for free. Plus, you can pop it if the enemy has gun damage, right, to get the gun damage effect, the bullet resist effect. And short little side tangent, this also works with Greater Expansion, so Greater Expansion is going to allow you to teleport way further with this as well. Let's talk about the Golden Goose Egg, and I've seen a lot of videos and people love this item, people love to greet in the lane with it. I think it's actually pretty good in certain situations. So when do you want to buy this item? you want to buy it if you think the lane you're gonna play is hard, okay? So you want to buy this as first item in the game if you decide to buy it. You show up in the lane, you look at the enemy laners, you look at you and your lane partner, and if the enemy lane is just stronger, you buy this as first item and you play passively. You make sure the wave is being pushed, right? You push the wave out and then you farm boxes. Over time, this item will accumulate and give you a lot of money. You should not buy this if you have a chance in lane, because if you have a chance in lane, this item will make it so you have a lower chance of killing the enemy, and 1 kill on the enemy or 2 kills is usually worth more than the money and the buffs you're gonna accumulate by Golden Goose Egg, right? So it's a situational buy. I think we'll see it more and more once people figure out when it's good and when it's bad, but as a rule of thumb, I want you to consider how strong or how hard the lane is for you, and then buy it accordingly. For the people that are wondering in the comments, when should you sell this? Usually the answer is around 12 to 20 minutes is what I recommend. If you keep it any longer, you're being really greedy, and you should sell it once you're back in base and you can go for your first big item. So if I would buy this on Victor as first item, right, I would probably keep it in my inventory, and then once I'm back in base, I would consider selling it so I can afford my first like 3k items like Berserk, Surge of Power, or whatever you're running, right? So you want to sell it for a 3k or a 6k item in the mid game. I love providing educational content, and it really means a lot to me that it resonates with so many people. And with the Deadlock Academy, we are going to provide the best content on the internet for coaching in Deadlock, period. I offer classes every week to help you climb in no time, and we also have many more courses by hand-picked pro players and pro coaches. And there is really no better people I could think of to help you teach the game to make you a better player. We also do weekly coach scrims where you jump in to improve while just playing the game. Right now there's a 30-day free trial. Just try it out, see how it goes, and I think the results will speak for themselves. Next up, we're staying on the spirit train. Improved spirit and boundless spirit are absolutely crazy on a lot of characters. Most characters' spirit scaling on abilities has been improved, so raw spirit is just a really valuable resource right now because it just ups your damage, and we've seen a lot of people rush boundless or buy more boundless in games. Okay, this used to be a pretty situational item that you bought late game. The way boundless works is the more spirit you have at base, the more percentage you get, right? So it gets stronger and stronger the longer the game goes because your spirit power is gonna go up. So you don't want to rush this first 6k item in lane. You usually follow your build, and depending on the character you have, it's an item you would buy to reach like a higher threshold in the spirit investment. Around 9.6k is where I would say. So in my build on Apollo, for example, I have it pretty late after stuff like Torment Pulse, but still early enough to where at this net worth value, around 20k, if I were to buy it, my spirit power is now 114, I buy Boundless Spirit, and suddenly it's 164, which ups my damage on my spirit scaling abilities by a lot, okay? So without this, I do 333 damage on a perfect hold, and I do 450 damage on my ultimate, and I buy this item, and suddenly my damage goes up by a lot, by like around 33% on both, right? Or even higher in the case of the ult. We are in a spirit meta, and that also means every enemy or a lot of enemies will buy spirit resist. And how do you counter this? You get more damage, right, to negate the resists they have, or you buy Shred later down the line. There's not that many great options for Spirit Shred, sadly, right? If you look at Spirit Resist removal, it is usually one of your gun carries buying Crippling Headshot in the late game. There's mid-game options like Missing Vulnerability that shreds some, but because there is not that many options to remove some of the Spirit Resist of the enemies, just going more Spirit is usually the correct choice, which Boundless is great at. Even though gun is not great, funnily enough, a lot of the gun meta items that are bought by a lot of characters also give you spirit power right now. And two of them that I want to mention real quick are Opening Rounds and Spirit Shredder Bullets. These items will up your gun damage, but more importantly, they will give you spirit power without investing into spirit. So for opening rounds, you do more weapon damage on when they're above 50% health, but it also gives you a free extra spirit on top, right? It gives you the exact same effect for 800 extra, but you're having a gun item in your inventory. On the same page, Spirit Shredder Bullets shred the enemy's spirit resist if you have a character that can apply bullet damage kind of easily, if you have a character that shoots in between casting their stuff. This is a really high value item right now because it gives you spirit shred on the enemy, but it also gives you spirit lifesteal, right? And the spirit lifesteal is nothing to scoff at. It's 12% now after the buff, and spirit lifesteal really only gives you that spirit lifesteal, 16%. And with Spirit Shredder, you get Shred and 12%, which is close to Spirit Lifesteal. Otherwise, the last item on the list I'm gonna give you today is Weighted Shots. And this seems like a random pick, right? You don't see it bought a lot, but there's one stat in the game that is really, really hard to come by right now, and that is debuff resist, right? All these items got nerfed. They removed debuff remover, like, you know, like a while back, and changed it to Dispel Magic. So getting around to debuff resistance, if the enemy has a lot of damage over time or effect over time effects. We're talking something like a Mo grab grabbing you. We're talking something like a Holiday Lasso, or even something like an Infernus Burn. Debuff resist actually lowers that damage output and gives you a higher chance of living. And if you're gonna buy debuff reducer, which is a good choice, you can only really upgrade them to late game with Spellbreaker and Unstoppable, and they're really expensive. Weighted Shots does the same thing. In fact, it gives you almost the same amount of debuff resist. Plus, you get the slowing bullet effect and weapon damage, right? So if your character utilizes the weapon well, this item got a lot more value in the current patch because every other option for debuff resist got reduced. So I love buying this in the late game on someone like Victor that really doesn't want to get shut down or stunned a lot, and on hard carries that really don't wanna, you know, be in stun lock for a long time. If you can't afford Unstoppable or you wanna skip it, you want more gun damage, Weighted Shots is a great option to both stay alive longer with this, but still add that bullet damage and the slowing bullets effect, which is crazy against most characters. In general, the meta right now, I would say, is very spirit focused. Again, if you're playing gun carries, right, like they will buy gun items, don't take this away as like, I should never buy gun items on any character. If you're playing something like Warden, Venator, right, like the classic gun carries right now, the builds you're following of your favorite pro player or streamer, they have a lot of gun items and they're still really valuable. But overall, gun kinda dead right now, at least on higher rank, and once people get better and better at the game, you will realize, even on lower rank, that it's just better to invest more into spirit, invest more into making sure your abilities hit, really like give greater expansion a chance on a lot of characters. It's just a crazy item. Let me know if I have anything to add in the comments. Let me know if I missed any items. There's so many options in this game, right? Like it's beautiful. But those are my standout items for this patch. And yeah, until next time, see you friends, bye bye.